Guys, hello and welcome to
and the
Liberty
power
Network.
troopers,
Today
adults
is
of the
April
University of
May
Liberia,
5th, 2025. We are right here
Liberia
at the
University,
University of Liberia
student
in
based
the
political
student
party
unification parties and
at the
just
level of the
raise
University of
some critical
Liberia,
national issue. He posted as we need details.
Christian institutions, ordinary students, the administration of the University of Liberia part-timers, and even the government as a whole. As the University of Liberia is a state-run university, we must acknowledge you as well. And to the press that has afforded me this opportunity to make a position statement as a student representative of the University of Liberia to the UL Council. I'm William B. Sanders Jr. under the student interim leadership also. Let me use this time to also recognize the full executive bench of the ALSU leadership headed by Comrade Abdullah J. Lord Tingman, who happens to be the president of ALSU, the other executive members. Today is constrained that we must speak on this political power rather than speaking from our office, which has been normally used, because we want to ensure that the students get the actual purpose of this meeting. And that is why we chose the political power hall, so that they can get the message. And they are aware, or they may be aware of what is unfolding at the level of the University of Liberia in recent time, the other national issue. And we see it as a threat. We see it as a threat. And so as student representative, the media has engaged me to speak on this issue. The first thing what we want to acknowledge is that the University of Liberia has been a ground of student activism and agitation for the welfare of the ordinary students. That's very traditional and the custom, and recognized and proud to the existence of other administrators of the University of Liberia. So that cannot be a debate or an exception. You may question the procedure granted, but you cannot question the issue of agitation and protestation on the campuses of the University of Liberia, at least to talk about the country at large. But what has been happening at the level of the University of Liberia, it is because the administration, in line with the government of Liberia, whether past and current government, has ignored the forward march and the development, the transformation of the University of Liberia in providing a conducive learning environment for university students. The state, in past time and even now, has ignored and they have not prioritized the University of Liberia. That is why you have seen no more of protestation, agitation, and perturbation on the campuses of the University of Liberia. You can do your history. So it is not limited to the Bragas government or the rescue mission, as they call themselves. To put the government on the record, and you university students and the public that believe that university students, most especially under this leadership that some of us said, has been the most responsible government in terms of student leadership. I will show you this communication, July 5th, 2024. Some of you saw on the social media about a year ago when we raised an issue against the government, particularly the president. that he was considered a non-personal neglector to vote on the campuses of the University of Liberia, specifically the University of Liberia, on grounds that his government, since he took over, but then it was around 3-4 months, and people defended that, yeah, and the government just took over. Granted, and we told him that it's so far that you cannot prioritize the University of Liberia. You as president, visitor to the University of Liberia, the student will reject it. It was a debate, it was a concern. And the president invited us. Some of you saw the photos. It was a good thing, bravo to him, but then, when we engaged him, we deliver all of the challenges that university students were being faced with by past government. We brought it to his attention. And then, when we left some propagandists and political miscreants who are benefiting crumbs from the government said, Mr. President gave us money in the tune of 10 to 15,000 US. It was a false, it was misleading. The president that I know, the president that Liberian people know, can never in point in time give such money because of his background. He hailed from, not that he, I don't want to say me, but from his background, orientation. Some of us are studying him. He's not that kind of person that is free-handed. Probably he can give, or maybe give it on a general purpose. The president will pay our way, and that was around close to 70 to 80,000. Each student, dealer came home with 15,000 Liberian dollars. Who gave that money? Colonel Crab Topa. And some people went on the social media, said the president gave us 15,000 in the name of true propaganda that we have been bought and we have been selling. It's misleading and it's diabolical. That propaganda cannot survive within the youth and student community. We want to trash that out. We want to use this time. We have trashed that on the chat room, on our Facebook pages, and we want to use this public money. And we challenge the seat of the government that they ever gave us 20,000 because to give such an amount, students must sign and the amount should be placed there and you must have evidence. And so we want to challenge the government on that point. So with the meeting that we had, July 5th, 2024, this is the communication. Please zoom in. Probably the thing that we are lying and we don't know what we are doing in the youth and student community. You can see there was a copy. Letter of request, dear visitor. Always of the visitor president of the Republic of Liberia, SLAMS, Joseph Human Braga Executive Mansion, July 5th, 2024, reference letter of request. We made a request, all of those things that we said verbally to the president. We reduced it into writing. And that communication was given to the board of trustees, one Senator Tima Batikwa. He took that communication to the president. We spoke of infrastructure development. You are aware, from the days of the past government, the CDC, when it comes to infrastructure, this university have been deplorable. They repaint the building. This to talk about chairs for students to sit on. This to talk about internet facility. This to talk about buses. This to talk about laboratory. This to talk about student exchange program and so forth, scholarship. These were things that we outlined in this communication since July 5th, 2024. It may surprise you, but there has been no response. There has been no engagement since then. July 5th, 2024 to now, you know the amount that we are talking about. The government has not prioritized the University of Liberia. The last budget, something that we have spoken about time without number. The budget that was led by the past government, where the Unity Party rescued government king and took over, it was disbursed. It was being paraded as a means of propaganda or reality on the social media that the University of Liberia received 23.4 million, and they brag about it on the social media. Today, it must do a fair analysis and appreciation of the quote-unquote 23.4 million at the level of Monrovia Liberia, you university students will be disappointed. Nothing has changed. When Dr. Conte was quizzed, after coming up with a quote-unquote teacher-parent meeting, and we challenging that you have relegated the University of Liberia. There are men and women that attend the University of Liberia. You cannot reduce communication by inviting our parents. We engaged with that in the theater there. And a question was posed to him about the account of the 33.4 million. Former acting president is on record that 80% of the money was used on salary. University students, some of you were in our meeting. When I asked him the question, today, part-timers and other students are still asking for the salary. The money was being squandered either by his friends in government or the city government came and collected the money. Because it makes no sense to give a state-run university, a government-owned university, 33.4 million, and there are no armchairs. You are testament to that. There is not politics. There are no armchairs. You cannot even take your ID cards. We come to our own contribution we make as students. But as a government, budgetary allotment to the University of Liberia, the buildings are still dilapidated. This is to talk about buses. This is to talk about internet facility. The last time I checked, when the president came to launch the so-called PhD program, that he was being cajoled by authorities of the University of Liberia, which of course, it makes no sense that even the undergraduate program cannot even be compared to global counterparts that you want to have a PhD program. University students stood up, but the government felt that they wanted to show a point or prove a point. They launched that program. Where is that program? It's in their law. And when I saw that they brought 3 cups of paints, you university students were here. They painted the front view of this hall to fool the president. And he came and made whatever statement he had to. There was some agitation for students. The student was arrested and whatever. Going against the PhD program, in their mind that it makes no sense that if the undergraduate program cannot be up to standard. This is to talk about the master program. See the master building? You are aware, you have your friends, your brother, they pay $150 for registration. This is to talk about your fees. They pay more fees than even undergraduate students. But see their buildings. See their buildings. They don't even have a single computer there. This is the kind of education we find ourselves in. And the government and administration is trying to put up a tendency, a tyrannical tendency against university students, the youth and student community. And that is why we have come to the public guide to send a caveat. This is a unilateral decision, a collective decision. Now, all political parties as student representatives that you cannot use a brute force or intimidation, quote unquote, expulsion, suspension to silence critical voices at the level of the university. No, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. What you need to do is to call these student leaders on the table and adhere to their plights. Today, you distribute thousands of dollars to remove a quote-unquote speaker. You are having a political fight in the midst of poverty, in the faces of ordinary citizens of the country.